Are you in a position where your dream job isn't going as planned? Are you looking for a backup solution? A change in your career path is now easy with a microdegree. What's that, you ask? Well, with a microdegree, you can upskill yourself while keeping up to date with the relevant and emerging practices. Well, let's have a look, shall we? There is a difference between microdegree and traditional degree. And it's a big one. Traditional degrees, as we all know, take around 3 to 4 years to complete. Traditional degrees give an overview of the course, with not much focus on industrial learning. Living in this fast-paced world, we are required to constantly upgrade ourselves with new skill sets. Not everyone can afford traditional degrees because of their cost. Whereas, microdegrees are the complete opposite. Courses only last a few months, saving you a valuable amount of years. And of course, most importantly, the cost of a microdegree is half of that of a traditional degree. So, how can microdegrees benefit you? The content of a microdegree is compact with bite-sized chunks of information that demonstrate skills, knowledge, and experience in a given subject area or capability. It is also challenging because it gives us insights to real-world experiences. The content is also based on constant feedback from industries, which will instantly prepare you for the workforce. You can secure a job easily in sectors like information technology, design, engineering, and business management. If you fall under one of these categories, why not consider a microdegree? Microdegrees are 4 weeks long and cost much lesser than traditional degrees, while providing almost the same recognition. Visit us at www.itrainasia.com to learn more about microdegrees.
Dr. Ansari Ahmed, the founder-president of Asia University. Yang Berbahagia Dato Eric Koo, Executive Director of ITrain Group. Mr. Ronnie Ambrose Gobile, the Chief Programs Officer of the Human Resource Development Fund. Dr. Sumitra Nair, Vice President of Digital Talent Development, will be joining us shortly. Meanwhile, I would like to welcome Mr. Anthony Raja Devados, the Chairman of Persatuan Industri Computer dan Multimedia Malaysia, Bikram Academy. Mr. Mano Govindaraju, Dean of DX School, ITrain Group. Mohammad Zafir Mustafa, Senior Director of Policy Development and Expertise at Malaysian Qualifications Agency, joining us shortly as well. And I would like to welcome also our guests of honor, Mr. Ong Kian Yu, the CEO of Bikram, and Mr. Vikesh Lakmichan, the Group CEO of ITrain Group. Thank you very much. A very good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth, and I will be your MC for today. A warm welcome to the management of Asia University, deans, honorable guests, speakers, distinguished guests, and members of the media. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to address and welcome you to witness the official launch of Asia University's Microdegree Program, powered by ITrain Asia. Today, we have around 30 participants joining us at AUU while practicing social distancing, and we have about 100 to 200 people who are joining us live to witness this historical moment. Let's begin today's event with a brief introduction about Asia University. Asia University is a flexible mode international university established in Asia in 2007, and its establishment is an initiative of Malaysia as a prime mover for education and training with the support of 35 Asian Cooperation Dialogue member countries. Asia E-University offers on-campus, blended, and online learning modes for both academic and training programs. Currently, it has 6 schools, over 40 international and regional collaborative learning locations, over 28,000 students from 80 countries, and over 17,000 graduates. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to brief you on today's event. Asia E-University's Microdegree Program is powered by ITrain Asia, with its headquarters in Singapore and branch office in Malaysia and Indonesia. ITrain Asia is a digital tech certification body registered with Info Communications Media Development Authority of Singapore that provides latest digital tech certification exams, course materials, and also trainings via its authorized training providers. Its certifications are currently being rolled out to individuals, corporates, and also universities throughout 26 countries in Asia. And without further ado, I would like to invite Yang Berbahagia, Professor Dr. Ansari Ahmed, the founder president of Asia E-University, to deliver his speech. Please welcome Yang Berbahagia Dato.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. And a very good afternoon to all. Warm welcome to our campus, Asia University. I'm actually midst of my friends. I see all my old friends here. Dr. Eric, who's been, we know each other for many years now. I meet him more often in Indonesia than I meet him here in Malaysia. Then of course, Ronnie, my newfound friend in HRDF, when we are doing some work with micro-credentials in HRDF at the moment. Of course, Devadas, somebody I worked with actually, long time ago. I think it was 8-9 years ago, during the early days of the formation of the university, when we started doing some work with PCOM and doing some short certifications, industry certifications with PCOM. And we didn't at that time call them micro-credentials. Yeah. So, and all the other VIPs who are here, as well as the other staffs who are here. So this afternoon, we are indeed honored to have what they call ITrain with us, and as well all the others who are here, to share our experiences and our expertise on micro-credentials, and just to know a little bit about what we are each doing. And I think we are fortunate, as I was discussing with Dr. Eric, and he was mentioning it to me, that I think it's the first time we managed to get all the leading players into one room to actually discuss about micro-credentials from the point of view of a university, where we are basically involved as an academic institution. Then we got the funder, the industry funder. We got also MDEC, which is very much involved in what you call the development of the digital economy, etc. kind of thing. And then not forgetting PCOM as well, which is very much involved in the IT industry in particular. Although we talk about micro-credentials today, this afternoon, very specifically in terms of IT, but I think what we're looking at is micro-credentials from a broader perspective, goes beyond IT, goes into all sectors actually. And it's something that we would like to encourage that more people get involved with in terms of micro-credentialing. 3 days ago, there was an article that came out in an international, what they call news, talking about Google career certificates. I don't know how many of you read Google career certificates. Yeah, talking about Google trying to disrupt higher education or trying to disrupt education. We've been listening to disruptors in the education sector for the last 10 years, I think, ever since the onslaught of online learning that came about 10 years ago, became big time. At that time, the naysayers were the soothsayers were already saying that this is the end of traditional higher education. Then we had what we call MOOCs, and they said that MOOCs is going to actually flatten and level the playing field between those who are traditionally in the space and those who are new in the space in terms of MOOCs. And most recently, what we've all gone through, what you call COVID-19 pandemic, has now brought a lot of new terminologies, and one of them is the new norm. And we talk about the new normal. We talk about doing things, a lot of things at a distance. We talk about, some people talk about, Singapore talks about physical distancing. We started with social distancing. Now we're talking about physical distancing. Whatever it is, we're going to be at a distance. And it's not going to go back, as what it was before. And therefore, we come today, this afternoon, to something which is to me very relevant in the context that, the pandemic has made all of us look at what we are doing, how we are doing, and how we would like to move forward in the future. And it's very obvious that whatever worked in the past, in the old way, as I would say, the old way, is not going to work in the new norm. We have all got to learn to adopt and adapt and change, whether we like it or not. And one of the areas in which we got to learn to change and accept the change is in the way we credentialize ourselves, right? Traditional credentialing has always been how many credits did you get, and how many credits have you accumulated, and have you got the right CGPAs, and have you spent X number of years in institution and studied, whether it's 3-year course or whether a 4-year course or whatever kind of thing, before you can get a paper qualification saying that you have majored in a particular XYZ subject, and then you go out there with a piece of paper and you look for a career. You start your career, look for somebody to employ you, etc., and all that kind of thing. I think what this pandemic has shown more than anything else is that even that traditional mode, which has lasted over 1,000 years. I remember in 2005, I think 2005, 2006. There was an EY report that was sanctioned by the Vice Chancellors of Australia, and they were talking about the 1,000-old industry called higher education, called university, and they're talking that it must change. This was in 2005 that it must change, but nothing has happened. Universities, as what we know, has been around for almost 3,000 years. For those of you who do not know, one of the oldest universities in Tunisia, in Fes, is almost about 3,000 years old. And we got another university, Noida University in India, which is about 2,800 years old. In Europe, it's only started about 1,000 plus years. In Al-Azhar, it's about 1,400 years. So the universities have been around for donkeys years, thousands of years. The same old mode of, if you look at classroom in the year 1800 and you look at classroom in the year 2020, not much difference. All right, maybe more sophisticated, but the way it is conducted, etc., not much different. But now with the pandemic, we have to look at things differently. This is where micro-credentials come in. And I think we were very fortunate. And this is something that maybe I should emphasize here. Malaysia is one of the first countries in this part of the world, in Asia actually, which had a formal way of recognizing MOOCs. Even Singapore doesn't have it, even Korea doesn't have it in terms of recognizing MOOCs. And from MOOCs, we developed a guideline for micro-credentials. That's how the relationship is. So we have been very much in the leading edge of what you call new kinds of credentialing. That's something that we need to be proud of as Malaysians, kind of thing. But I think the learning curve is still there. The learning curve in terms of society needs to learn about micro-credentials. Institutions need to learn about micro-credentials. Potential employers need to learn about it. And so have students and learners have got to learn about the validity, the usefulness of this instrument called micro-credential. So this afternoon, we are formally launching a micro-credential together with ITrain in very specific, what they call 4 areas of specificity. And this is the idea basically is to say that, look, the time in which we have the luxury of going to universities and studying for 4 years full-time and doing nothing else, in the New World Order seems to be a luxury. Yeah. Maybe in the New World Order, we just have to go to a university or to an institution to study the basics for a couple of years, or 1 year or 2 years at the most. And in fact, many years ago, what you call the British University started a program called the Foundation Degree Program, which is only actually a 2-year program. They do a 2-year foundation program, and after that, they go and work in industry and start continuing learning on the job, because they don't need to go to a 3-year program. In China, they have the Tao University, which is basically you go and study 1 year, and after 1 year, you are actually attached to a mentor, an industry mentor, and you start learning from your mentor, then you go back to your classes. So you what they call, you oscillate between the mentor and your classroom, and that gives them better, what they call, better training. But we have been, unfortunately, in Malaysia, still very traditional. We're still looking at, going to campuses. We're still looking at, 3 years and 4 year, what you call degree programs, etc. kind of thing. So I think the need to educate society as a whole is there for us to educate them in terms of micro credentials. And this is something I think this effort that we are taking basically is the first step towards that. So I think very good. Alhamdulillah, today we got the major players around together to talk to first and foremost to what you call to at least witness our what you call signing ceremony between ourselves and ITrain in this morning, and later in the afternoon we're having the forum talking more details about micro credentials. So let me just end by saying that I look forward to this relationship with ITrain. I think this is the beginning of just a few courses, but we're going to have a lot more stacking up. I hope a lot more stacking up, which are relevant, immediately relevant to the industry, because I think industry needs people who have functional knowledge. You can go there and get things done. And rather than having theoretical knowledge, nice to know knowledge, by the end of the day, you can't do anything at the workplace. So I think this is what we are trying to get at. And so these 4 courses that we have identified as the beginning to kick off the micro credentials, what you call initiative by both of us, is just to ensure that there is a demand for that in terms of digital economy and how we're going to move in this particular economy. So we thought that this is probably the best what they call fall to start the program with, and then we'll add on more and more to the portfolio. I think this is an opportunity for others to also, I hope, will be attend later on the forum to understand more about the structure of micro credentials and how do we deliver it, etc., and all that kind of thing. So being a lecturer, once you get in front of the podium, it's difficult to stop. And I have stopped lecturing for quite some time, more into management now. So when I get a chance to talk in front, I go on and on. So I think I've spoken enough. So thank you very much for your kind attention. And I look forward to this fruitful relationship between ITrain and ourselves. And I'm looking forward to more such relationships as we develop for other sectors too, not just the IT sector or this particular sector, but other sectors too. So thank you very much once again.
Thank you, Yang Berbahagia, Professor Dato Dr. Ansari Ahmed, for the speech. Next, I would like to invite Yang Berbahagia, Dato Eric Koo, the Executive Director of ITrain Asia, to give a brief summary of Asia E University's Microdegree Program powered by ITrain Asia.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Well, actually, what Prof. Dato Ansari said is true. We always meet in Indonesia. I remember the first time we actually discussed this is when we were in Bali, right? We think of like how, I think that point of time we mentioned is like we are very passionate in educations, right? So we have a lot of discussion in Bali. Then it's like I think that point of time we start to talk about is like why don't we work together, right? Because that point of time is like micro credential is not so mature. It just started. And then it took some time for us to have a few discussions. And finally, we have the marriage today. So this is where we come up with the micro degree. So I just will have a brief introduction about this, how we support this, right? Because this program is empowered by us. So we actually put a deadline, which is like your skill, your asset, and your futures, right? So this is the things that you own, right? And then you can actually build up your skills, right? And the asset, you can use it for a long time, right? So in your career, or if you want to work as a freelance, right? Or it's a gig economy, you can do that as well. So how ITrain Group bring this on the table, right? Because it's like in order to have a success digital talents, right? We actually seed it into these combinations. So we need to have a system, which is sometimes people call it as a framework. And then we need to have a lot of mentor, a lot of coach, because we see like many young youth, in many countries, the graduates and all these things, right? So they need people to actually guide them to actually go into the career or go into even as a freelancer or even as the startups. And then what are the environmental issue that we bring in? So these are things I want to drill into a little bit. Right after that, then we will introduce to you the whole micro degree about. So, how can we bring all these things like the one I mentioned just now, right, onto the table? So ITrain Asia, we actually established since 2005. So we have about 15 years of history in this digital talent development or digital tech certifications programs. So we have about 30 authorized training partners in the regions, especially in Asia, and we have 50 authorized academy partners. That means we have academy partner which is like using our contents, right, in the university to teach their students and also get the certifications from us, right? So, and of course, now we have a iTrain Kids franchisee in Malaysia and Vietnam. So this is for kids coding, which is we actually guide the person, which is since then, I mean, since they are when the time they are kids all the way up. So you can see our network. We have about actually now it's more than 50,000 the people that we train and certify. It almost reach 100,000 because we actually engage with one of the big bank in the regions, whereby we actually train and certify about 40,000 of their employees. So actually now we actually engage with all the large organizations. What we want to do is like we help them to build a kind of like digital academy within their university, I mean the company. So what this digital academy does is like is to upskill all their staff right into the digital world. So because I think we see all the because of the pandemic, everyone is moving to the digital world already. So I think if you want to be present or you still need to survive in this new normal, so you need to make sure all your stuff is ready. And then you can see we actually presence in we have 26 countries, and then we have 50, I mean the 30 authorized partners I just mentioned, and then 150 certified trainer in our network. Now, this is what I mentioned. You need to have a system, right? A framework that we build. And just now, the network that we have is like we actually have a environment. And this is where the environment you connected to the everyone in the regions, because our partner actually is our authorized partner. They actually provide trainings in their own countries. So if you talk about the Southeast Asia, then again, we cover all the 10 countries in Southeast Asia. So what happened is like our partner also, they actually provide the solution to their customer, which is the corporate, which is also the employer in that respective countries. So technically, in a nutshell, for us to understand what industry needs, not only in Malaysia, we understand the industry need in the whole Asia. Because it's like, since we're providing certification programs for all these corporates, indirectly, we actually know exactly what they want. Because we know what costs sell well in each of the respective countries. And also, we work with them on the customized programs so that we will know, one of the first one who know when industry change requirements very fast. Because if this is not a demanding program or demanding skill for all these corporate in the Asia, they will not actually come for our training programs. So if they come for our training program, they will know we will know very well that these are the programs they need. So you can see this is the range of the ecosystem that we have. We have kids, I just mentioned. And then for EU Microdegree, we focus on something what we call the extreme employability, right? So the outcome is like we get student jobs, right? So later I will explain, I drill down to more how we get them job and how we drill them to make sure they are fit into the job environments. And of course, we have iTrains, like focus on employee digital empowerment for tech and non-tech. We like to use tech and non-tech because nowadays we think digital skill is not only for tech person, right? The non-tech person are very important. So we have an article came out in the Age earlier to talking about is like how important the non-tech to be trained in digital skill, because they are the one actually working into their respective domain in sales, finance, and so on. So they are the one, if you equip them with the digital skill, they are the one who actually able to find out the opportunity for the digitalizations. And IT department, a lot of times is in charge of the implementations. But you know, you need the business units folks to actually come up with the opportunity. And of course, iTrain Asia, right? I think Elizabeth just briefly explained about us. We actually registered with IMDA Singapore as a certification body. And then, you know, not everyone came to our programs. They need to end up with a career or a jobs, right? Some of them is like they want to do their own startups. So many years ago, I worked with my co-founder, Bikich. So we actually come up with these programs. It's like to pipeline all the people that we train Actually, we work with government to train a lot of software developer. So one of the pioneer programs we work with MDEC actually to create the first batch of a mobile application developer in the countries. And then we discover not all of them want to go for jobs. That's why we come up with this entity. It's called 1337 Venture, a tech accelerator that actually help handhold these people into startups, right? And then after that, we discover not only they need to have a startup skill, they need to have fundings, they need to have others startup programs to train them, to walk them throughout the whole entrepreneurship journey. And this is where we actually start to have venture capital registered with SC. And then we came out with the, we also as a licensee for the equity crowdfunding ECF in Malaysia, one of the 10 ECF licensee in Malaysia. And then we have academy. Also, we actually have a design thinking bootcamp and innovation consulting. And this is what we do is like, as I just mentioned, we work with the company on the digital academy. We also help them to identify their problem statements, starting from design thinking. And this is where 137 will will cover. Now, again, just now I explained systems are very important. So you need to know, sometimes people are asking is like, why I need coding, why I need design thinking, why I need all these Agile's IoT training. So this is the pathway that we develop in-house, right? This is with our own IP, right? So we actually have the whole digital transformation process starting from discover, define, build, test, and all to scale. You can see in each of the stage, right, there are certain skill set which is needed. And these are programs that we provide in certification program. We also provide in the micro degree programs, micro credential programs. So this is to allow people to see is like a very systematic way, what kind of skill that you need to equip your staff to have in every stages, right? When we work with any organization, we need to find out what stages they are in first. We can't actually go for digital transformation for the sake of digital transformation. They need to understand if their customer need it, if their staff need it. So that's why we develop these systems to help the organizations, right, as well as talents, right, to actually train themselves to reskill, upskill themselves with the talents they need based on where their organization needs, right? The most important is that we always stress that like you need to develop yourself with the skill that the organization needs, right? If you know what your organization needs, you can't actually help your organization to grow, especially throughout these digital transformation processes. So this is last year we got the award from our social, right, as a ICT Education Award. Now I've drilled down to more, just like I explained, is like we have the systems, right? We have the mentors and we have the networks of coaches, because it's like we work with so many countries partners, right? Our authorized training partners, and then as well as we work with many countries government to actually develop the digital skills trainings. And also we need to have an environment, right? Because based on our reach, we have a huge environment. So we can put in all these graduates into our environment whereby they can actually link to all the rest of the graduates in the whole Asia. So this is the platform that we allow them to actually mingle around, to network around, and then also to develop the skills together, right? Because it's like a lot of times the things is not happen in Malaysia yet, they will happen in Singapore first, right? And then we have a few countries which is coming up very big, which is Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand. So this is where they can actually start to connect with each other. For example, it's like I was in Vietnam last year, right, doing the launch of the digital transformations, national digital transformations program in Vietnam. And they actually committed, the government committed to develop 1 million digital talent in 2 to 3 years time, right? And the whole Malaysia, based on different statistics, we have about 300 to 500,000 digital talents, right? You can find all this information in MDEC website as well, right? But the different sources have different numbers. But in Vietnam alone, they just want 1 million digital talent in 1 to 3 years. So this is the network we will actually expose our graduate to. So how we design this program? Now I will go into like how we design this program. So you can see it's like most IT projects actually fail, right? Not only based on technical challenge. A lot of times it's based on human error. Why we say so, right? Later I'll explain more. And how we create a program to drill our graduate so that they can work in these environments. You see, we have 60 hours of face-to-face training for each program. We can do it face-to-face and virtual, due to the pandemic, we already run a lot of our programs online. And then it can be conducted in 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. It depends on the programs and the situations. It consists of teaching hours, tutorial, and projects. And then we actually embedded the real world projects into our programs. So it could be a simulations real world project and also actual real world project. Because how this do is like we really get connected. As I mentioned, we train the first batch of the applications, mobile application software developer in Malaysia. And most of them now are owning their own company and then as a software house. So technically, I actually speak to most of our ex-students, right? They are ready to work with us in order to actually run this program in a way that like while the students are learning in our center, they're actually doing part of the project in their software house, right? All this program outline is actually a conclusion of the what I call this collaboration with all these software houses. So which means these people go out straight away, they can work. And they also can be straight away adopted by all our partner, which is all the software houses that we have. And this is not only in Malaysia, it could be any countries. And of course, we set up a career support to support anyone want to come into this micro credential, whereby we will explain to them, you can actually, we will launch our website today as well, open up to the world. So later my colleague will explain that. So everyone who need to have questions, they want support, they can go to our career support portal, whereby we will have a consultant to support them, to tell them is that what kind of programs is suitable for them, and then how they go through the whole micro-credential processes. And of course, the micro-credential is a certificate issued by AAU. Now, this is what I mentioned. You see, there are a lot of certifications outside there. And we have been running certification program for the last 15 years. And we still cannot fill out the gaps, right, that the company needs. And what we discovered is like a lot of programs, we run 5 days. Some of the programs, if you go to the online e-learnings, you only have like 2-hour class per week. But the thing is like what we want the people to do is like we want to stretch them in such a way that our program is run Monday to Friday. In fact, we do it Saturday and Sunday as well for tutorial. And every day, the program run 9 to 6. Now, what this means? What this means is like we actually simulate or imitate the actual environment when you go to work. Right? But many of the programs, they don't give you this kind of situations. That's why a lot, I just mentioned is like a lot of projects fail, IT project fail is not because of technical, it's about people. So we want to drill the people who came to our programs can handle this kind of environment, which is actual work environment that you will be facing when you go to work, right? So this is what we want. That's why you can see this is a whole program structure. Now, first of all, we want to do a micro psychometric test for all the candidates which came to our program. You know why? Because throughout these 15 years, we do work with many organizations, governments, and all these things to train many of these, even though postgraduates or working professional. Actually, we discover a bunch of them, they don't really like IT jobs. They can't work in front of a computer for long. Maybe there could be someone which is that they always like to talk to people. They cannot sit down quietly and do programming. They cannot sit down quietly and do design. They cannot sit down quietly and do data analytics. And this what psychometric test is like, make sure these people are suitability for the programs. Right? Early on, when we present our programs, place and train programs to HRDF, they also ask me a question, is like, how do you increase the success of these programs? There have been some programs which is not so successful because not many people pass the exam. Right? Some provider even have only 30% people pass. So my answer is the same. You need to have the right filtering and right recruitment. So we need to write not only based on their prerequisite, whether they know mathematics or they have a high score in mathematics or not. We also want to make sure their suitability, which is like their characteristic is fit this program. Then we have an entrance assessment, interview, experience a day of working life. So this is something that we try to simulate and make sure these are the right person that we recruit. We don't want to waste the government money and we don't want to waste their money also. If they enroll with this program and then at the end of the day, they find out they are not suitable for this program, right? So for this psychometric test, we're working with Harrison assessments, right? I'll explain a bit more on this. Then after this, if they go through the screening process, they actually can go to onboarding. Now, we stick company working environment. So if we work with the employer, we want them to visit the environment first, right? Why we want to do this? Because I give a lot of talk to the university students. They always invite me to speak into the final year students. I always say I don't want, after a few years, I say I don't want to speak in the final year students because you can't motivate them, because the final year, they just want us to go in to do their major project only, to tell them what industry is needed, what software is needed. But the thing is I always tell them I want to speak it during their orientation time, because this is where you can inspire them. That's why we want them to visit the company they will work with later after the program, to give them the, what I call this, motivations, right? To inspire them, to let them know how their working environment looks like, so they can sit nicely to go through the 4 weeks or 8 weeks program, right? And then we also allow them to meet the team lead and the HOD for the employer, to allow them to understand the requirements. And also, of course, staff sharing. This is the good thing is like we allow staff sharing, is like how best to work in this company, what we do daily and all these things. And also we actually give them the e-learning. Because in the classroom training, we don't want to teach them all the definition. What is the IoT definitions? What is AI definitions? We have a bunch of e-learning allow them to go through before actually they join our program. Because our program is focused a lot on practical. And then during the class, as I mentioned, we got 9 to 6, Monday to Friday. And then we have 4, 8, and 12 weeks. Then we have lesson, tutorial, exercise, project presentation, and also industry visit and industrial talk. Normally, the industrial talk is like a lot of time people arrange it for master or MBA program. But this one, we actually invite the industry, right, from the similar programs that they are learning into the classroom itself. So not only listens to teacher, in fact, we are not going to also plan to use one teacher or trainer throughout the whole 4 weeks. They might actually see 4 or 8 or even 10 lecturers throughout the whole programs. It's designed in such a way that give them more want to interest to learn, because they have a perspective from different experts. And then project, we have a live simulation project, as I mentioned, and then also the real world project that we're working with our partner employer. Now, this is what we were talking about, suitability factor vs the eligibility factors. You see, when we actually develop our talents in the school and all these things, we actually always focus on eligibility factors, which is like your certifications, your education level, and all these things. But then how about the human side of it, right? The psychology side of it. We want these people to make sure they are able to sit to this particular job. For example, we even can go through the psychometrics to test this particular person is logical or not. If he or she don't have the logical thinking, if we put them into the programming class, which is our full stack developer class, that means like he or she will be suffer. So we need to have a strong filtering. That's why we do a suitability test, right? So this one will test your motivation for job, your attitude, your interest, your work preference, your work value, interpersonal skill, as well as a fit with the supervisor. We can even do up to this level, because when we run the psychometric test for that particular organization, and why we work with Harrison Assessment, because they have like tons of customer outside. So they already know what what I call it, suitability of all their employee. So we just need to use the same thing to test their new employee, to see whether they can fit even up to the level, their culture or not, right? So this is what we're trying to do. Due to time constraint, I can't elaborate this more, but if we will organize another event just to talk about this. And then this is the e-learning program that I mentioned. We have all the Industrial 4.0 e-learning program ready, right? Everyone can access to this, right, for all our students. And then these are the program we have, like full stack developer, data engineering, UX designer, as the deep learning, as what the Prof. Dr. Ansari mentions, we can open to more programs. We already discussed of some of the programs like esports, animations, right? So due to any demand in the industry, we can always open up a micro-credential programs, right? This is based on what the industry needs. And then this one, I won't go through in details. You can go to our website, because we're going to launch a website today as well, right? So there are every week there's the programs. So we can go through data engineering, and then we have a design for micro degree, and then the deep learning engineers. So we can see we run the class from Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday projects, and then 9 to 6, 8 hours per day, 4 week non-stops. So those people who can go through this kind of program, right, I think employer will be very happy to employ them. Because when you go to the industry, this is how you've been stretched. And many people drop out and they can't continue, right? They can't sustain the stuff because of this reason. Many people have certification, but they cannot work for long. So finally, we think of these solutions, right, to solve the problem that happen in the industry, to make sure the people are not eligibility, also suitability, okay for this particular role. And then our micro degrees digital badges. So these are badges we have whereby they can share. I will explain this more throughout the forum sections. Now, this is about the whole program, but now we have an offer that we want to tell the world, right? I would like to invite MK, who is our advisor as well as the head of business development. So MK come up with a background from certification world. So he has about 15 years in the certification world in the whole APAC. So like we good to have him to be with us, right? To help us to run this program together to make sure to ensure the success of the program. I hand over to MK.
Hi, good afternoon to everyone. I'm MK. I've been in the certification and accreditation industry for about 15 years. Well, basically, I think over the years, the landscape has changed and we are pursuing a lot of the problems in terms of certification, accreditation, and working environment where professional workers need to certify in order to get the desired job roles that they want. But I think in the last couple of months, the COVID-19 pandemic has given us a really, I would call it a motivation to do something a bit more drastic that we were anticipating will only come probably in the next 15 to 20 years. But unfortunately, it has speed up, and with Dato Eric Koo and the rest of the panel here, it has been a good start that we can do it today. And I think young graduates and young workers today have one single issue that they are facing, which is unemployment. So everyone that wants to go to a university or go for certification or any credential, they need to get employed. And this is what not only Malaysia, but throughout the world that we have the same problem where youngsters are not able to get employment. So if you look at this in terms of the New York Times in 2017, they are saying that there are too little jobs, but too many degrees that is put under the STEM industry, whatnot. And in terms of the non-tech for the tech jobs is because in the digital technology, you do not need to know whether you are a tech or non-tech background, because at the end of the day, you will be skilled, you will be done through the AAU Microdegree to get the job done, because this is what the employers want the skill to be, and this is what the employers want to hire the kind of candidates in the industry. And even the Department of Statistics of Malaysia reported 2019, there are more than 170,000 graduates which are unemployed. And this is a very, very big statistic figure to look at, where I think that the AAU Microdegree will be able to assist to get a big chunk of the percentages to be employed in the right organizations in the digital technology world. How the employers will be benefited in the AAU Microdegree. In this way, we are going to be empowering and equipping all the young employees in today's skills needed in today's job role, where business organizations came to us to tell us this is what the job role that they really need. These are the skills that they really need. And this is where the 4 micro degrees that is being launched today for the phase 1, where it meets the current industrial needs that is needed by both the employers as well as the people who are seeking for employment. And what Dr. Eric Koo has mentioned about the pre-screening for suitability, this is also what the employers can get benefits and confidence in terms of the candidates that they are hiring. And then another thing would be, if let's say there are small margin of error where there are certain candidates that have embarked into the organization after the AAU Microdegree, where the candidate may not be up to mark in terms of the skill, there is also a 12-month warranty period that ITrain Asia will be providing with a free upgrade on the particular candidate, in terms of they can send back to us for in terms of the upskilling for the right areas in terms that they need to bridge the gap. And after the 12 months of employment with the employer, there is also the candidates in terms of the organizations can send them for lifelong learning, and also to upskill and reskill in terms of the next couple of years or 10 years, where what kind of skills that's going to be emphasized during that time in the industry. So there's also an offering in terms of a 30% price discount for those who have gone through this program with us. And then what about the employees? The employees, in terms of getting the skills needed today, they are also be assured in terms of ready and available job roles with the potential employers and the organizations that we work with. And also we are also talking to and also working with a few private sectors in terms of like SkyMind AI, and also with PCOM members in terms of the well-established business organizations who are continue to grow in the digital technology. So these are the employment that we're going to get for the candidates to be suitable in these roles. And also, in terms of the AEU Microdegree Program fees, it is going to be at the 12,000 ringgit per pax. And as an introductory price, we're going to offer 9,000 ringgit per pax for limited time only. So it can be funded through various points in terms of government grants, in terms of employee paying themselves, or the employers funding it on subsidy, or even through bank loan financing. And we're also partnering with Maybank in terms of the Easy Pay Zero Interest, where providing as low as 500 ringgit monthly installments for the microdegree program. And for those employers who are interested to provide what are the job roles that they are hiring, and what kind of specific skill sets, they can register with us into our website that is on the slide, where you can provide us in terms of what are the skills that you need and for the right candidates and what you're looking for. And for the employees, you can also register with us on the website, where you can register what kind of job roles you can see that is available for you, so that you are able to be right skilled with AU Microdegree. So any other issues, you can contact us in ITrain Asia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. M.K. Chung. And also thank you to Yang Berbahagia Dr. Eric Koo. And now I would like to invite you all to wait a few moments while we set up the table for the signing ceremony. For the signing of the agreement and to officially launch Asia University's Microdegree Program powered by ITrain Asia. I would like to invite to the floor Mr. Anthony Rajadavados, the chairman of PICAM Academy, and Mr. Ronnie Ambrose Gobele, the chief programs officer of HRDF, Dr. Sumitra Nair of MDEC, and Ong Kian Yu, the CEO of PICAM, and Bikesh Lakmichand, CEO of ITrain, to witness the signing. Okay. All right, and yes, now I would like to invite the table back on the stage. And yes, now I would like to invite Mr. Anthony Rajadavados, the chairman of Pickham Academy, and young Berbahagia Data Eriku for the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between ITrain Asia and Pickham. And I would like to invite Yang Berbahagia, Professor Dr. Ansari, founder president of Asia E-University, and Mr. Ronnie Ambrosega Belay, Chief Programs Officer of HRDF, Dr. Sumit, Dr. Sumitra Nair of MDEC, Mr. Ong Kian Yu, the CEO of Pickham, and Mr. Bikesh Lakmichan, the CEO of iTrain, to witness the signing of iTrain's and Pickham's Memorandum of Understanding. All right. Thank you very much for the signing. Oh, one more photo. Can the table be removed, please? Thank you. All right. Thank you very much for the signing. And now there will be a 5-minute break until the forum on micro credentials bridging the digital